Picture this. You have spent years mastering your science and then you're promoted. You're managing people, both up and down, but your expertise and your experience no longer feel enough. You no longer feel enough. I want you to think back to that moment at your last senior level meeting. The meeting has just ended. You are replaying every word in your head. You are analysing what you said, what you didn't say, and what you should have said. And then again that night, 2 hours before your alarm went off, did you wake up and start remembering the looks on people's faces, monitoring the room for dissent, disapproval, or alignment? When was the last time you just said, "That went well"? When did you last congratulate yourself on a job well done? Exhausting, isn't it? But these are not signs that you are a fraud or not good at your job or were promoted above your competence. And despite what you think, the people in that room around the table, they were not looking for you to fail. That is all in your head. Because this is what happens when you take on a role that you were never trained for. This is what happens when you fear that you are going to be found out, that you are a mistake. You probably started your new role with an optimistic enthusiasm. I can do this. I am smart. I learn quickly. I am not emotional. I am logical and rational. And this is just common sense. Do you know how many times I've heard people say that? And if it were true, then surely we would be inundated with natural born leaders, right? Except the thing that I do hear is that people generally leave their jobs because of their managers. And anyway, how do I know all of this? Because I've been there. I'm Linda Terry, and I've had a long career as a scientist, over 35 years. I have worked in academia, government, and in big and small pharma. After I got my PhD, I was only interested in the science and publishing my next paper. I never really thought about what it meant to lead. But the time finally came when I took on more senior roles, and then I discovered how challenging it actually is. I had probably made every leadership error in the book, with my own personal brand of exterior hardness and bravado, and interior self-doubt and judgment. I knew I wasn't good, so I went to every course I could sign up for, but they never really got to the heart of the problem, because these courses were generalized and not specific for me, and they didn't tackle the gender differences between the internal external landscape. The tools were great, and so were the scripts. On real issues we struggle with as new and even seasoned leaders, how to have that difficult conversation, how to give feedback. In fact, when I first did management courses, they used to give the feedback sandwich as a tool, which we now know is not useful. There were also tips on how to effectively appraise your team for those annual reviews. But as I said, they're not customized to our particular messy humanness. And for women leaders, it's much harder. And the courses rarely get it right for us. Because as women, not only is the system stacked against us, but we are so heart-rendingly hard on ourselves. Our inner critics become so loud that we are unable to think clearly. And our thoughts spiral. Because we are trying to live up to standards that society has imposed on us, but which are unattainable. And the rules are not written down anywhere. They are invisible, unspoken, and they are deeply ingrained in our culture. We are afraid to make mistakes because we judge ourselves to higher standards than we judge others. And hell, we judge others, right? We are afraid to ask for help because that makes us look weak and needy. We don't express our opinions for fear that we might offend somebody. We put up with bad behaviour because we want to be liked. And when we are wounded and hurt, we disappear, licking our wounds. We say we're sorry for wrongs that were never our fault. We rescue, we fix, and we forgive, but we never forget. Think about that one for a moment. And we take responsibility for everything, even and including other people's poor judgment, decisions, and unskillful behaviours. And as icing on the cake, criticism is like a knife to our gut. However much we tell ourselves that it's good for us, it still feels like our world has fallen apart. And our lived experience of these formative times in our career are likely the reason there are so few women in science in leadership roles. It's shark-infested waters out there, and sometimes the sharks look like angelfish. Very senior leaders looking to hire will tell you that women don't apply, that they go off to look after their families. And while that may be true, we should be asking ourselves, why? Given that more than 50% of people achieving PhD qualifications are women, why is it that so few women are making it up the ladder? And why do we care? Because without going into too much detail here, mixed gender leadership makes business sense with higher ROIs. It makes the science better with higher impact papers, and it facilitates greater innovation with more patents. But even if that were not true, wouldn't you want to know that your efforts were being acknowledged, that you were respected and your work had impact? I think it's a very, very specific person who doesn't want their work acknowledged, respected, and know that it has impact. And don't you want to be rewarded for it? Doesn't it give you purpose, job satisfaction, fulfillment, and being a role model for your children? Do these not matter too? But the stakes to us seem doubly high if we get it wrong and the environments we work in are just not supportive, sufficiently supportive. I know your struggles. You have seen your career stall. Promotion seems out of sight. You seem out of sight and invisible, despite your proven track record. You wring your hands over difficult conversations and judge yourself over and over for unskilled performance. Your unskilled performance. The politics nauseates you. You work longer and longer hours. You have shown yourself to be reliable over and over, and yet that new guy, he seems to be in the boss's favour. I guess he will be the one to get the promotion. And your children see less and less of you. You want to be a present and good mum, but you seem to be failing at everything, at least in your eyes. The guilt is killing you. And frankly, you're sick of the eye rolling, the backstabbing, the meetings after the meetings, and no one taking responsibility and everyone blaming someone else. A job in a bookstore sounds like heaven, or even a library, because it's so quiet, so calm, so full of knowledge and wisdom. They seem to be a thing of the past. But no. You love the science. You would miss it. What you really want is not more meetings, the corner office, or more proof of your worth. You want to be a confident, visible leader who is respected for your science and your leadership. You want to stop overthinking and start making decisions that carry weight. You want balance, not burnout. And if we're honest, you want to change the status quo for women in science while you're at it. And you want your values and your integrity to dictate how you behave as a leader, not some outdated protocol that still gets people promoted. We do not need command and control women at the helm. We are not in a war. We don't need to be louder, tougher, or endlessly confident. It's not about fixing your flaws or being perfect or fitting in. What you need is to lead from a place where it's okay to be the messy human, embrace the suck and forge a path that is uniquely yours. That means understanding your own patterns and triggers, being accountable for your own growth, building calm authority, and bringing your whole scientific brain to the human side of leadership. It's rooted in self-knowledge, self-compassion, and self-trust. Oh no, I hear you say. Just when I thought it was safe, she indulges in all that mumbo jumbo. But I'm telling you, this is far from woo-woo. It is hard and uncomfortable work. I am not going to lie. But are you not worth it? All those years you worked hard to get your qualifications, is it not worth going the extra mile, become fully the person you train to be and beyond? And when I work with my clients, they see lasting change far beyond the goals we set in our sessions. Because we rewire the neurological pathways that have stayed unconscious for so long and then practice new ways of responding without abandoning who you are. And the result is a repeatable process that you can use every time things go sideways. Because coping is what you do right now. Imagine the person in the room who appears calm, clear-headed, confident, creative, curious, and courageous. That could be you. The system may not be fair, but how you meet it changes everything. My deeper purpose is simple. I want to see leaders who are confident, values-led, and human. Leaders who build teams where armor isn't required and compassion isn't mistaken for weakness. Science needs that kind of leadership. The world needs it. The question is, are you ready to stop replaying the meeting in your head and start leading from the inside out? You know, if you think you might be ready to see this in action, book a free session with me. I will give you my link to my schedule at the in the notes. And our stories as women scientists are so important. They are the stories that will mold and shape the next generation of scientists, that hold for us our unspoken truths and our lived experiences. So please get in touch, as I have something special planned in the near future for you to be able to share those stories. I will put my email address also in the notes below. Thank you. And again, I am Linda Terry, and I help women scientists lead with clarity and authority. Thank you.